Hi everybody, my name is Marie and I'm a graphic designer, and thanks for letting me speak here. It's an awesome opportunity. So I'm a graphic designer at Platform 45, and I've been doing graphic design for around 5 years now. And yeah, a little bit about the background, my background. I studied BA graphic design at Stellenbosch, graduated in 2009, and then started working at Platform 45 in 2011. This was my first time coming into contact with Ruby on Rails. So there were a couple of things that were pretty new to me. So the new stuff, developers were new sort of to me. I used to come from a pretty like graphic design space. Command line was definitely new. And I think it's always sort of a daunting thing for someone coming from a design background. And the nature of the work was very different. And working closely with developers and very closely with the clients and developing their apps and their products. So today, I really want to actually focus on the relationship between designers and developers and the little bits that I've learned working with developers in this Ruby on Rails environment. So some of this might change. This is not, a rule, but yeah, this is what I've found so far. So I'm going to just speak about my experience. So when I thought about this concept, I was looking at the differences and the similarities between designers and Ruby developers. And the first difference that I saw was the tools we use. It's very different. You guys use a programming language, fine, CSS and stuff is also like that, but design is a bit of a different language. Our canvases are different. What we're creating on is a bit different. And then our fashion sense, I think, is quite different. But that also made me think about the similarities, and these were more interesting for me than the differences. So both are extremely creative directions and disciplines. Both are practical, like to the max, and both are problem solving. Very, very, very problem solving directions. So especially with graphic design, not just other design. So then I thought, now, why are these two things seen as two completely separate sort of entities when developing an app? If there are all these sort of similarities, very strong similarities. And I mean, fine, a lot of the times what you guys do, what developers do, don't completely make sense to us. And sometimes the stuff that designers do don't make complete sense to you guys or to developers. But I did find this quote by Tim Brown. He's the CEO of IDEO, and they're like a design and innovations company. They're all over the world. And it says, whenever we do something to improve the state of the world, we're designing. Design is everywhere. Inevitably, everyone is a designer. And I really love this quote because actually you can just take the word designer and swap it out with developer, and you sort of, you end up at the same place. And this was really interesting for me. So thinking about our process and stuff and how design fit into the whole thing, how it used to work is you'd have the developed part of it, and then design will just be sort of applied to it, So design is like a coat of paint, actually. It didn't really contribute to the functionality that much. It didn't really make it much, easier to use necessarily. It was sort of just this nice shiny paint coat, a coat of paint. So if you'd imagine, if you just built a car, right, functional car, it's working, well, it's functional, and you finish it off and you just apply this nice shiny coat of red paint to it, and you're excited, you want to get in it and drive it, and you get into the car and you take your key and you can't find the ignition for like a half an hour. And that's, to me, where design and development needs to work together and fails in this sort of process where it just gets applied onto it. So it makes it pretty, but it's not more functional. And once you really start using the product or the app, it starts sort of chipping away, and it reveals a little bit of stuff that you don't necessarily want to see or that you don't want to bother the user with. So design is more than just a coat of paint. So we've made some changes to this, and what we do now is we've got developers that are way more involved in the design process, and we've got designers that are way more involved in the overall development process of building the app. So we're trying this new way. And what this means is that design becomes more of a roadmap in creating the app. So there might be some bumps along the way, some detours, some reversing back out and trying to get back in again. But design as a roadmap makes much more sense for the clients as well, because the client is mostly interested in the end result. Will the app be on time? Will it make money? Will the users love it? Will the users respond well to it? Will all the goals be reached? So design can almost be used as something like this. We sort of hold this up to the client, and we're like, this is where we're going. We'll get here. Just, it's going to be bumpy, and, it might be bad along the way, but this is where we'll go. And it'll be nice on the beach and breezes and everything. But this is also something that they can sell to investors. So it's like sort of this little concrete thing they can look forward to. So this is how I think design can also be used. And I think, I think that's really, it adds value for the client. So the process of, I'll take you through our process of getting to these places. And number one is research. That's our first step. We try and find out as much about the client, the user, the project itself, look at other systems, we look at real world problems. Maybe there's something in the real world that's already solving this, and we can translate that to software. And number two, we start doing the wireframing. A lot of the times, this is basically just sketches, starts off as sketches with pencil and paper. And just to get the user flow right, to get all the information that you need on there, to get all the user interactions perfect. And then we use this tool, which is pretty awesome. It's called Envision. And you can upload if you just sketched it even, or if you want to upload some JPEGs or PNGs, and you can create hotspots, and you can comment, you can share them with the client. So there's a very collaborative aspect to this. And along these steps, we're asking developers all the time, listen, if we put the login in here, can we do that? Can we add this in here? Will this work? What'll take longer to load? Sort of like the technical parts of it. So this is one of the wireframes. It's for an app called Unplanned Escape. It's an invite-only app, and it's to sell exclusive trip deals. So this is the wireframe. So it's got the basic functionality. It's got like the login. It's got the sign-up form. It's got the basic information. A lot of times we don't have content when we start these off, so we make do with what we have. Maybe try and give our sort of picture of what it should be. And the next phase would be the polish phase. Now, polish it can be taken the wrong way, but this is the shiny layer. But it's not just a shiny coat of paint. This layer should add more functionality. It should enhance the functionality. It should almost be a layer of intent. So if you look at this, the whole purpose of this app is to convey a sense of luxury, a sense of exclusivity. So without this, it wouldn't have said that. If we just made that blue and black, it wouldn't have said this. We want rich imagery and things like that. So this is not just a layer of polish. It still works well, but it really conveys the intent of it. And it's got to work properly, obviously. This is just another view from that app. Very basic, nothing shiny and beautiful. And that's the end one, where we've used the same thing, but we've really just sort of brought out the important parts and apply that sort of exclusive feel to it. And one last one from this one. So you can see the functionality stays the same. That's been hashed out. You know, we've been speaking to the developers saying this is the right flow, this will work. And also, you know, we bring in the front-end developers in the same process. So this is ArtLogic. They're a sponsorship and events company, and they host high-end boutique fairs, and they're pretty awesome. And this is the wireframe for their one view in their app. And this is the first wireframe for this page. And this is where it ended up. So they actually liked the wireframes. And I was like, you can't leave it like that. So we really, we just brought out the bits of accents and really used just that little bit of what you would call polish to really actually add another level of functionality to it. And yeah, another level of functionality, I'd say. This is a product called 6 Cents. It's a financial planning tool. It helps you plan your finances, check your credit record and stuff like that. This was the first wireframe, and we went through a lot of sort of iterations of it, and this is where it ended up. So the functionality is still there. It's maybe reworked a bit. It's redesigned, reshuffled, and this layer once again adds more functionality to it. It brings out the buttons that we need you to click. It brings the aspect of gamification to it to make your finances more fun. And yeah, this one is called My Winning Trade. It's a tool to help you learn how to trade on the stock market. And this is the wireframe, and that is the actual final design. So you'll see it's like almost the same thing. But basically, there's a reason why those two buttons are green and not the same green, while those are blue, not the same blue. So it's, once again, just subtle things that are necessary, like a lot of times. If your wireframes are already functional, you don't need to go and add, shiny gifts to your design to make it sort of, better. So after we've done the wireframes and the polish, we move on to front-end development. And a lot of our designers do front-end. We've got a dedicated front-end developer as well. But we're pretty comfortable with doing front-end. So we use stuff like SAS, Bourbon Neat. And this is the tool that we are using at the moment. This might change. It's called Middleman. And it's a static page or site generator. So we can use all our cool little tools like SAS and Slim and Bourbon Neat and all those things to make it much easier to code up front-end pages. And after we've coded up at least a few templates, or if we're lucky, we get all of them done, the templates, we move to development. But it's really important to know that through every step, developers are being asked to review and repeat stuff. We go back through every step and we ask the guys, listen, is this the best way to do it? How do you want to do it? We ask the front-end guy, listen, what can we do with JavaScript here? How can we enhance this design? So it's an absolutely collaborative process. And the outcome of this is that developers share the design responsibility with designers. So I've heard that, I know that you have to have a Venn diagram in a presentation. So this is mine. You've got designers, Ruby devs, and front-end devs. And these are like 3 disciplines. But when you really bring these guys together and you sort of make these overlap, for me, that's where the real innovation happens. That's where the real sort of little magical bits come out, I feel. When you're using an app and you just go, oh, why didn't I think of that? How cool does this work? It looks good, it works well, it's just so smooth. And the users really, I think that's what pulls a user into a good app. And then when you bring these guys even closer, the innovation gets even more. So, I think collaboration is definitely key here. So why we do this? First of all, it saves time and money for the client, for the user, and for us developing the app. So imagine you're building a house, right? So you're planning it first. And you check out the plan and you see that I need another bedroom in here somewhere. So it's really easy at this phase to go and add a bedroom on. It's not going to cost me, a lot of money to just design in another bedroom in here. So it saves resources and money. And then, because once you've built it, once the house is built, and you're like, I need to add another bedroom in here, it's going to end up looking like this. It's messy. It's hard work to sort of get it, sort of back again and to the state that you really want it. So this is sort of how I imagine design just being that little step in front of the development. It really just gives you that little bit of flexibility and hashing stuff out before adding in this. If a guy says he wants another feature on the app, he wants a calendar on their dashboard, we have to go back. We do a little bit of wireframing. We see how the polish is going to work. We repeat all those steps again. And that stops this from happening. It's easier for us to plan ahead in terms of resource management. For the client, it's easier to determine when marketing goals can, when they can start doing marketing, their marketing milestones. And it's easy to sort of keep the end destination in mind if the design leads just a little bit. But still, I'm saying design leads, but obviously, developers are now part of the design process. So, the client, I think it means a less hacky app, that's my opinion. And it means better user experience and a much more coherent app interface and user interface. So it's easier for the user as well, so everybody wins. So these are just a couple of things that developers can do to help us. These are very little practical little bits, so you can decide if you want to use them or not. First of all, if development and design and the front-end templating stays like a little step ahead, frameworks like Bootstrap shouldn't be necessary. Now I know a lot of people love Bootstrap, but a lot of the times I find that it takes more time fighting Bootstrap than it is to just code something from scratch. So that you don't even need to use Bootstrap if you're using this method. If you at least have one template, you should be able to start adding functionality into that. And what's cool about it is once you've built that feature, it'll be done, it'll be designed, it'll be pretty, and it'll just work. So next one is be nice when we don't know how to get pulled. I know that GitHub was quite a foreign concept when I started in this environment. And basically what I want to try to say is don't expect the designer to know everything about development and vice versa. We don't expect developers to know everything about design. So help us once and we'll sort of figure it out. And I must say, the help that I've gotten from developers have really helped in just making the whole process smoother. I don't need someone to help me get bull anymore, which is great. This is another one, use a shame.css file. I was actually thinking we should call it awesome developer style sheet.css and not shame, but so it might be a bit more friendly. But this is sort of, I've seen a lot of companies use this, and it's a style sheet for developers. So you guys don't need to go and if you want to style something, you can put it in there. So, it just stops the app from having an application.css that's this long with important on everything. So this is really cool. So what we'll do is the front-end devs or the designers will come and they'll check out the shame.css and we'll move the stuff into the right places, rewrite some of them if we have to. But it's just a sort of a housekeeping thing, really. Leads to clean code, makes our lives easier. And so the last thing is really just take up your place in the design process. I mean, we learn, designers learn so much from developers, and hopefully you guys or developers can learn a lot from designers too. And it's really it'll make the most of the design process if you guys are involved in it. Because that's where the real magic happens, as my Venn diagram explained. So yeah, just don't be shy, get involved in the design process, and yeah, enjoy it. Thank you. So, questions? Sorry. Yo.
How do you handle wireframing and designing elements that are sort of kinetic or dynamic on the page? And how does it work with the front-end designer?
What? Okay.
How do you click on something and then something flies open or animates and then moves?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
We do exactly that using InVision app. So it's sort of like, you know, you get Mockingbird and what are the other ones? Exer and those ones. But you know, even if you want to just prototype real quick, you can use your sketches if you really want. Upload them to InVision. You can add hotspots, add all sorts of stuff. They're really cool. They've got a really cool mobile interface and functionality with that as well. So you can really get a complete interaction design of your app right on there. Does that answer your question? Cool. Anything else? Yeah.
How much of the user interface design as opposed to graphic design did you learn when you were saying?
Very little.
So you didn't most of that once you were.
Yes, especially in the course that I followed. Obviously, it depends. But a lot of the stuff you've got to teach yourself. And obviously experience helps a lot. Working with cool people, working with people that are better than you most of the time. Working with developers, actually. So that helps a lot. But until you can go to a school, take a course on UI, UX. But in the end, actually the user tells you all the stuff you really want to know. So if you can keep on going back to the user, asking them, listen, just give your app to someone, anyone. Make them work through it. Does this work? Am I missing something? Are you clicking on stuff that shouldn't be clickable? You want to click on this thing and you can't. Stuff like that. So, yeah. Cool. Is that it? Oh, yeah.
So, normally when we think of doing design for something, we think of a web page, right? You're viewing it on some sort of an electronic device.
Yeah.
So, have you ever run into a scenario where your client is requesting now, we want to output this in a really nice format to print it?
Yes. We've had that.
Yes.
We've had an application that we were writing that was mainly going to be printed.
Yeah.
And so, thank heavens for responsive design, because that sort of solves a lot of it. You know, if you're designing tables and stuff that needs to fit on a page, fit on a website, fit on a mobile phone, you know, it's very easy to make that work really well for print. So that was an interesting thing to do, but yeah, we've definitely worked with that before. Yeah, and like responsive grids and stuff really solve a lot of the problems. It depends. We find out what's this app going to be used for primarily. We deal with a lot of apps that will probably never be used on mobile. The print one, for instance, it's like. But funny enough, we used a really responsive approach to that. But we don't necessarily go mobile first. We first see what's the intent of the app. Are these people? Is it a mobile app? Sure, mobile first. But we make sure that all our apps work on mobile as well. So you know, it really does sort of elegantly move on to mobile and your desktop pages. Yes.
Hi. I completely agree with your comment that user interaction should drive user experience and user interface design.
Yeah.
Have you ever used some kind of in-app analytics service like Kissmetrics to actually analyze users interacting with the application and modify the interface to best suit their
Yeah, I think we have. Especially once the app's up, then we can really sort of get a feeling for it. So I think we have actually used Kissmetrics.
And did you have any kind of involvement in designing the Kissmetrics campaign and defining objectives and goals? Because I've seen that something like Kissmetrics only really gives you real value if your implementation is sound.
Yeah.
If you kind of just stick to code and don't think about how to make it work, it doesn't give you value.
Obviously, we've gone and we've seen, okay, we've sort of misjudged ourselves here or stuff's changed, or we've actually got a different user coming in. So then we've gone and made changes according to that. We've seen, okay, well, people are dropping off here. What's gone wrong? Or people are clicking on stuff and it's not really helping them. They're just turning right back.
Yeah.
So that's when, well, it happens sort of, it's once again, then we go through the process. Then we go and we see, okay, let's rethink this. How do we need a new feature for this? Is it just a quick CSS tweak? Is it, what it is? So does that answer your question a little bit? It's really going through the phase, checking it out, what's happening, getting some real data, and going back and revisiting, and just, repeating that until everybody's happy, basically.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
No come electro por la vida.